Bruton, this electrifying pace.
Oh,
Look
yes.
at that. Heaven's sakes,
Yes.
look at that.
Great play.
Seconds to half-time. The Wildcats leading by a point. There's the steal from Bruton. It takes Battee on.
American-born Australian Cal Bruton had accelerating speed, a motion-centric fluid style, and a near-limitless shooting range. In short, he had it all, except size, which could have been a disadvantage when competing in the world of the enormous. At just 5'7", Bruton always dared. He never feared, never allowed his stature to limit his efforts, and as a result, he has left one giant legacy in the world of Australian basketball.
I think Cal brought some leadership to the club that we probably were lacking in our early stages of trying to build a championship team. And he kind of took us to another level individually, because back in those days, the administration used to control a lot of what the players were doing. But when Cal came, he said, hey, I'm Cal, this is what I do, y'all can like me or hate me. And that's when I thought, hey, I like this guy.
Let's be honest about this. While Australia has produced and continues to produce the likes of Luke Longley, Andrew Bogut, Patty Mills, and Ben Simmons, the NBL in Australia is still a long ways off the standard of the NBA. The gap was even greater back in 1979. When Bruton arrived in Australia for the inaugural National Basketball League season, having come to the realization that the small-minded politics of the NBA had its limitations. Born in Queens, New York, tragedy struck young Cal at the age of 7 when his father was killed during a robbery at his workplace. Sport became his release, basketball his chance in life.
Growing up in New York City is a tough environment, and sport was a tremendous vehicle for all lower socioeconomic kids. I always looked at it that it's the equalizer, you know, it gives you a chance. I saw a lot of drugs and alcohol around my own family, so it was my thing that can just poison you and not give you any sort of chance to get to where you want to go. But for the most part, yeah, I definitely made sport my ticket, and I knew that was the only way that I would be able to escape that environment. And Rudy was the...
But Bruton had a problem, and that problem was height. Not recruited by any of the major universities, he only got to Wichita State University at the request of his best friend, star recruit Rudy Jackson, who threatened not to sign unless his point guard came along with him. Ironically, both had to meet educational qualifications to be admitted to WSU, but only Cal qualified.
Coaches were shattered, you know, because we went after this 6'9", All-American, do it all, and look what we end up with, a 5'7", you know, guy that, geez, we can get them a dime a dozen.
Bruton went on to a brilliant college career at WSU. Selected to the All-Conference team 3 years in a row, and in his final season, leading the Wheat Shockers into March Madness and the NCAA Final. But the NBA teams were not willing to gamble on his size in the 1976 draft, although the San Antonio Spurs did sign him as a free agent before releasing him just before the season. Down, but not out, Bruton got back up on his feet 10,000 miles away in Australia with the launch of his National Basketball League. Cal signed to play with the Brisbane Bullets, and finally, he was the big fish. in a little pond. When Cal Bruton arrived in Brisbane for that first Australian National Basketball League season in 1979, he found those early NBL courts were in modest gymnasiums, and the crowds were in their hundreds, not thousands.
After the first couple games, we lost like 2 out of our first 3, and of course, I got pulled in. Dave Atkins, who was the director coaching, can you score? I said, well, that's not what the coaches actually do. He said, well, I'm telling you, you need to score. You know, if the team is going to be successful, you need to score. And if you can't score, we might have to find somebody that can. Oh, well, you mean tell me, do I go talk to the coach? He said, just score. First game I came out, dropped 29. And then I went and we played Wollongong, Illawarra at the time. So I dropped 29 that game. We beat them by a point. Then I came back and Doc said, I think you can score more. I was like, God. The next game I dropped 35 on Newcastle, then I went to 40, then I went to 44, and then I dropped 53 on Glenelg. And now everyone, the word is out. So everywhere I went now, the teams are coming after me.
Hard guy to guard because he had all that shake and bake stuff, and that was kind of new for Australia back in those, you're talking 1979, and he came in with, razzle dazzle, but could back it up.
As a player, the highlight was his 1985 title win with the Brisbane Bullets, and as coach, it was earning the NBL Coach of the Year honors in '82 with the Geelong Supercats before leading the Perth Wildcats to 2 finals and his first championship win in 1990. Bruton finished that first season the leading scorer in points per game, averaging over 33, and he went on to an Australian Hall of Fame career playing 250 games before coaching 5 teams.
Finally winning the championship, I felt consolidated, that yes, I am a winner.
It's all over!
But the biggest statement of Bruton's career would come with international representation. To play for Australia at the 1986 World Championships, he had to renounce his U.S. citizenship for the green and gold, recognition of just how much his new homeland meant to him. Identified as a rare gem, Cal gravitated to the nickname the Black Pearl, and his arrival in Australia continued to aid the significant change in the White Australia policy, clearing the way for other black athletes and entertainers. The resulting influx of U.S. basketball lifted the standard of the game down under and contributed to the Australian Boomers winning its first ever Olympic medal in men's basketball at Tokyo 2020 and 2021. Since his retirement, Cal has blazed a trail in youth coaching through the Bruton Basketball Foundation and the AFL Sports Ready Initiative, an Indigenous placement program. His work culminated in 2021 with the highest honor an Australian citizen can receive, the Order of Australia. Bruton's legacy also has deep personal roots. Son Austin Bruton is a U.S. College Hall of Famer. Eldest son CJ represented Australia at the 2008 Olympics, is a 6-time NBL champion and MVP, a Hall of Famer, and the head coach of NBL's Adelaide 36ers. While his youngest sons, Brooklyn and Dante, are rubber stamping the Bruton legacy, landing shots in the NBL 1. And dunking and weaving for their home state respectively. Cal Bruton is proof that sometimes a bantamweight can thrive in the world of the heavyweights. You don't have to be tall to walk tall.